The French have a great saying, l'esprit d'escalier, which sounds way better if you don't butcher the fuck out of the pronunciation. But what it means is the wit of the staircase. Or, as we say in English, damn it, you know what I should have said? No, I had exactly such a moment last Friday, and as often the case, what I should have said turned into a diatribe. So I got an email the other day from a producer with the Stocks and Jocks morning radio show in Chicago. This is primarily a financial talk show, but they delve into sports and apparently whatever the hell they want from time to time. And while I'm decidedly unqualified to talk about stocks or sports, they were inviting me to come on and talk about the podcast. Now, for what I imagine are obvious reasons, it struck me as odd that I was being invited onto a show about stocks and bonds, let alone a show where somebody could get in serious trouble if I said fuck. So I did my homework. I listened to the last couple episodes of the show, and by the end of that, I had a pretty good idea why I was coming on. The host of the show is a Catholic. His producer and his co-host are both atheists, and inviting me on was not the host's idea. Apparently, they'd had plenty of theological discussions with this dude in the past, and they were calling in reinforcements, and that is a role that I'm happy to play. So things start off just fine. We talk a bit about the Charlie Hebdo massacre, we talk a bit about the podcast, but eventually the talk shifts to the merits of religion. Now, Tom is the host. He's a proud Catholic graduate of Notre Dame. He tries to defend religion at one point by citing his religious family members that ain't hurting nobody. The basic defense here is that they don't bother anybody, they keep the faith to themselves, they're good people, they're harmless. Now, this is where that staircase thing comes in. Because what I actually said in the moment was that if everybody in the world was like them, I probably wouldn't have a show, but somehow every week I'm able to scrounge up plenty of stories about Christianity being used to justify homophobia and subvert the teaching of evolution. And that is a valid point, but it was the wrong point to make in the moment. It's one that he could easily brush aside. He basically says, yeah, well, you know what, I'm with you. I don't like those guys either. But as soon as I listen back to the interview, I'm slapping myself for the missed opportunity because he clearly said that those harmless religious family members of his were Catholic. He actually made the claim that his Catholic family members weren't contributing to anything bad. So apparently their tithes weren't going into the pile that was being used to silence rape victims, or the one that was being used to exacerbate the AIDS epidemic in Africa, or the one that was being used to pay for a pope that insists that exorcism is a real thing despite the known danger of reinforcing the delusions of the mentally ill, or the pile that was used to, fund the international money laundering service they had going there, or the one that was used to fund orphanages that would rather stop helping everybody than place a fucking kid with a gay couple once in a while. They were putting their money in the other pile, that non-fungible one that only goes to loving Jesus and buying blankets for homeless people. Well, of course, conversations go the way conversations go, so I never managed to circle back to the two fatal flaws in the my grandma ain't bothering nobody defense. One, of course, is the fact that anybody who gives money or social legitimacy to a religion is contributing to all the problems that religion creates. But the other is that this notion that what atheists are really worried about is how pushy religious people are. Yes, that is definitely annoying. I'm not going to deny that, but all kinds of people annoy me. I don't do a podcast about people who tap the top of the soda can before they open it. That annoys the shit. I don't do a podcast about people who pronounce etc. like it's got an X in it. When atheists complain about nativity scenes on courthouse lawns and prayers before public meetings, it's not because we're annoyed. It's because we have a basic constitutional right to a government that doesn't endorse a particular religion. That's actually important. Any effort to reinforce the idea that an invisible, mute space dictator is in charge of the universe is way more dangerous than it is annoying. Faith is the opposite of reason when it comes to solving the world's problems. Reason already has enough enemies. Without reason to guide us, any charlatan that hijacks the name of your God can inspire people to divorce themselves entirely from their innate sense of morality, regardless of which flavor of God you prefer. I totally let him off the hook with this notion of harmless faith, and I shouldn't have. In fact, I have to give credit to the show's producer, Maddie, who came a hell of a lot closer to making this point than I ever did. He pointed out that grown-ups shouldn't let fairy tales tell them how to act in the world. And it's scary as hell that anyone ever has to make that point, let alone argue that point with evidence and rebuttals and shit. Now, to be honest, I have a bit of an excuse. Through this entire thing, I'm kind of mortified. My mind was so preoccupied with not saying shit, fuck, asshole, pussy, fart, or dick ribbon that it wasn't functioning at its highest level. That's hard for me one way or the other, but it gets decidedly harder when the host brushes off your objections with stuff like, I bet you guys will find a religion when you're in your 50s. Now, I ask you truly, is there any appropriate response to that assertion that doesn't use the words shit, fuck, asshole, pussy, fart, or dick ribbon?